McMaster engineering students are suspended after the discovery of an inappropriate songbook.
And a suspect remains at large after an early morning shooting in Scarborough. Humber News starts now.
Hello, it's Friday, January 24th. Welcome to Humber News, coming to you from the Broadcast Center here at the North Campus. I'm Josh McConnell. Thanks for joining us.
And I'm Andrea Fernandez. Ahead on our show, we have all your news, sports, and entertainment highlights, as well as your 5-day weather forecast. But first, Josh is our top story.
Police have enlisted a robotic submarine in the ongoing search for Jeffrey Boucher. A Marine unit began looking for the missing teacher at Whitby Pier, but was forced to stop due to unsafe weather conditions. Durham police told Humber News there are no new leads in the case. Police will assess whether to continue the search next week. Boucher has been missing since January 14th.
The suspect in an East End shooting that left one man in hospital remains at large. A man believed to be in his 20s was shot 3 times in the leg after an overnight dispute at the Loaded Dog Sports Bar and Pubs in Scarborough. The victim was rushed to hospital and his injuries are not life-threatening. Police say the suspect fled the scene in a taxi, and when officers intercepted the cab, the suspect escaped.
The Toronto Port Authority is asking the federal government for $100 million for Billy Bishop Airport. Porter Airlines would use the money to build a runway extension for Bombardier jets, something that hasn't been approved by the city. The request would also cover development to address traffic and access problems. The Port Authority and the airline will attend a public meeting at City Hall on Monday.
The suspect in an East End shooting that left one man in hospital remains at large. A man believed to be in his 20s was shot 3 times in the leg after an overnight dispute at the Loaded Dog Sports Bar and Pub in Scarborough. The victim was rushed to hospital and his injuries are non-life-threatening. Police say the suspect fled the scene in a taxi, and when officers intercepted the cab, the suspect escaped.
The Toronto Port Authority is asking the federal government for $100 million for Billy Bishop Airport. Porter Airlines would use the money to build a runway extension for Bombardier jets, something that hasn't been approved by the city. The request would also cover development to address traffic and access problems. The Port Authority and the airline will attend a public meeting at City Hall on Monday.
The Canadian dollar dropped to its lowest level in more than 6 years this week, and it's affecting Canadians in more ways than you might think. Corey Weir has the story.
The Canadian dollar has taken quite the hit recently. The dollar closed at 89 cents yesterday, the first time since 2009 the dollar closed under 90 cents. Humber students may be feeling this currency weakness in different ways. With the dollar slumping, it may be leaving consumers wondering, should we take that trip to the United States? With reading week fast approaching for Humber College students, are they asking the same thing? Program head of business at Guelph Humber, George Bragus, says traveling in the States will come at a cost.
So it's going to cost more, whether they go down to Florida and spend the February break down there, or whether they just want to go down to Buffalo or Niagara Falls, New York to shop.
Tourism management instructor at Humber, Anka Fuller-Carroll, says students in Europe are feeling the Canadian dollar struggle.
I know I have students currently having a semester abroad in France, and they say they can feel it. They can feel the euro, for instance, comparison, like that the euro is being expensive, and they can tell.
Students may be in the midst of combing through online websites looking for reading week destinations, and the way the dollar is will play a huge factor in their decisions. Corey Weir, Humber News.
Thanks, Corey. The destruction of an old school at Dufferin and Eglinton has left members of that community seeking answers. The city sold the potential historic site, built in 1927, to developers for over $6 million. City bylaws require community input before beginning the demolition process. In a letter to residents, the city apologized for conducting the sale without their approval, but did not say why it had. At the time of demolition, the site was still in the process of being assessed as a historic site.
McMaster University has suspended a student group over a controversial songbook. The engineering student-run Red Suit Group is being investigated over songs containing sexist, violent, and degrading material. McMaster Senior Administrator David Wilkinson says the songbook written by the group is repugnant and goes against everything the university stands for. The university's Dean of Engineering says the Red Suit Group has a history of positive work, but that the songbook is unacceptable. The group has been suspended from participating in future campus events.
National Non-Smoking Week is wrapping up tomorrow. It is one of the longest-running health education events in Canada. Katarina Barnes has more on the story.
At this time of year, many of us can't bear to be outside. For smokers, the cold is not quite enough to get them to quit. First-year photography student Leah Lucarelli says she's tried to quit, but can't.
Smoking kind of inhibits your taste buds, so when you quit smoking, you definitely start eating more. And that's probably one of the pluses to quit, is like you get your taste buds back, everything tastes better.
For those who are interested in kicking the habit, there are resources at Humber's Health Center. Petra Alexis coordinates the Leaving Behind the Pack program on campus, and she says there are many techniques people can use to quit smoking.
So you can come to the health center and we are able to help you out with if you want to try cold turkey. You can use NRT, which is nicotine replacement therapy, so you can use the patch or gum, as well as we do a lot of motivational interviewing, so talking about how to change coping mechanisms and changing your thinking around smoking.
Alexa says National Non-Smoking Week is important for raising awareness about the resources available for wannabe quitters.
According to statistics from Health Canada, smoking rates have dropped by approximately 5% since 1999. However, 16% of adults are still considered regular smokers.
Civil engineering student Josh DaCosta says he discovered that quitting isn't easy, and he has a piece of advice.
Just don't start. That's it.
Even though National Non-Smoking Week ends tomorrow, it's always a good time to quit smoking. Katarina Barnes, Humber News.
Thanks, Katarina. When we come back, we'll have more news from across the country and around the world. Jake Cortapat will have the sports news, and we'll have your weather forecast with Charlotte Anquetel.
Make sure you don't get blown away, as we have a wind chill warning in effect for the upcoming weekend. I'll have your 5-day weather forecast coming up after the break.